There was a man named Eric. He wasn't famous. He didn't have a glamorous Instagram account. But if you asked anyone in his neighborhood who they trust to call when the pipes burst at 2 a.m., they'd all say the same thing: call Eric. He was always the first to show up and the last to leave. He worked hard, never missed a deadline, never complained. He lived simply, gave more than he received, and never asked if he was okay. But every month, Eric still struggled. Bills piled up. His van broke down at the worst times. He kept telling himself, "It's just a rough season. I'll be fine." But deep down, he wasn't fine. Not because he was lazy, not because he wasn't good at what he did, but because he carried a silent belief he had never questioned. If I'm not suffering, I don't deserve money. Eric's story isn't rare. In fact, it might be yours. And if you've ever felt like, no matter how hard you work, money always feels just out of reach, then maybe it's time to ask a better question. What if money doesn't come from effort? What if it comes from energy, from alignment? Because the truth is this: money is not a reward. It's a reflection. And it's not a material thing, it's a frequency. You don't have to take my word for it. Everything I'm sharing with you today is rooted in timeless teachings from mystics like Neville Goddard, metaphysical pioneers like Ernest Holmes, and even modern neuroscience and quantum physics. These aren't fantasies or motivational fluff. They're frameworks that thousands have used to rewrite their financial reality from the inside out. Stick with me until the end of this video. I'll be sharing 4 powerful methods that will help you shift your frequency into alignment with abundance, and a 7-day challenge to rewire your energy field so wealth can finally flow into your life without resistance. Don't forget to hit like if you feel this is the content you've been looking for, and subscribe to the channel to give me more motivation to create the next videos that are truly helpful and valuable for you. Let's begin. One of the most fundamental truths, yet often overlooked, is that everything in the universe, including us, is not made of solid matter as we once believed. Through the lens of quantum physics, the physical world is merely an illusion. The atoms that make up everything, from your desk and your phone to your own body, are actually composed of subatomic particles. And these particles are not tiny pieces of solid matter, but rather vibrating fields of energy in seemingly empty space. What we perceive as solid is merely the effect of energy vibrating at a low frequency. Albert Einstein captured this concept in his famous equation, E=mc², which tells us that matter is simply a form of energy condensed into visible form. In other words, everything you see, touch, and use is energy, vibrating in various forms. And if we accept that, we must reconsider something that seems extremely material: money. In the traditional mindset, money is seen as something tangible. Bills, coins, digits in your bank account, or that familiar ding when someone transfers you money. But if we ask, what is money really? The simplest answer is a collective belief system. A dollar bill has no value unless everyone agrees that it does. Its worth lies not in the paper or ink, but in the shared agreement that it represents value. In fact, money has taken countless forms throughout history. People have used shells, cacao beans, massive stone wheels, like the Yap Islanders, gold, silver, and eventually paper. In 1971, when the United States officially ended the gold standard, money became what we now call fiat currency. It is not backed by any physical asset, but is sustained solely by legal decree and social trust. The word currency comes from the Latin root currere, which means to run or to flow. This etymology reveals something critical. Money was never meant to be static. It was designed to move. Just like blood in the body or water in a stream, money must flow. When it's being spent, invested, exchanged, or gifted, it's alive. But when it's hoarded out of fear, clung to for control, or withheld, it becomes energetically stagnant. and those who hold it begin to feel blocked themselves. This isn't just metaphor. In behavioral economics, there's a concept known as the pain of paying. When people spend money, parts of their brain light up in the same regions associated with physical pain. But here's the irony. The more you fear losing money, the more you block its flow. And as a result, not only do you stop receiving more, but you also begin to lose your ability to create it, because you're now operating from a frequency of lack. On the other hand, some people seem to attract money effortlessly. They don't grind themselves into the ground, yet money seems to find them through sudden business opportunities, unexpected partnerships, fortunate timing. This isn't luck. It's the result of their internal energy field, being aligned with the frequency of prosperity. This is where science and spirituality begin to converge. Research from the HeartMath Institute has shown that emotions like gratitude, trust, and contentment bring the heart, brain, and nervous system into perfect synchronization, a physiological state ideal for clear thinking, wise decisions, and lucky breaks. In essence, your emotional state is a broadcast frequency, and the universe responds with matching experiences. So money, at its core, does not respond to how hard you work. It responds to the frequency you emit when engaging with it. If you feel guilty spending, anxious receiving, or uncomfortable asking for your worth, you are subconsciously pushing money away, no matter how hard you work. But when you begin to see money as a flow, as a form of energy moving through life, when you release the need to control it, and instead allow it to circulate with purpose, you shift from a state of force to a state of allowance. And money begins to arrive not because you chase it, but because you are vibrating in harmony with it. Money is energy, and you, with your beliefs, emotions, and behaviors, are both a transmitter and receiver. Each day, you are broadcasting a message to the universe about whether you're ready or still not enough. And the universe, like a neutral mirror, simply reflects back what you send out. So don't just learn how to make more money. Learn how to become the kind of person money feels safe around. Because when you stop treating money as something you must cling to and start dancing with it like a flowing current, you'll discover something profound. Money has never been something you had to chase. It has always been flowing toward the one who moves in rhythm with it. After you begin to see money not as a fixed object but as energy, something that flows, responds, and reflects your internal state, you can't help but ask the next question. If money is energy, why does it feel so hard to have enough of it? The answer isn't in your job, your bank account, or even your skills. It's buried much deeper, in the subconscious programming you've carried since childhood. From the time we were kids, most of us absorbed beliefs about money that were never really ours. We heard things like, money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work hard for every penny. Not just once, but over and over until they sunk in, became part of how we see the world. These phrases weren't just advice. They were codes, little fragments of scarcity that shaped how we relate to abundance. And if nobody ever challenged them, we kept living them out like autopilot scripts. It doesn't stop with family either. Religious institutions often equate virtue with suffering. Poverty becomes proof of humility. Wealth becomes suspect, something dangerous, selfish, or unspiritual. Schools rarely teach financial intelligence. Instead, they reinforce obedience, delay gratification, and normalize struggle. Culture applauds the selfless hero who gives it all away, but quietly shames the one who earns with ease. So we grow up surrounded by the idea that being poor is morally safe, and being rich is morally suspect. No wonder so many people sabotage their own success. Deep down, we associate having more with guilt. We fear being judged, rejected, or losing love if we rise too far above the people around us. And because the subconscious always wins out over conscious desire, we find ways to leak money, avoid opportunities, undercharge, or stay small, without even realizing we're doing it. Neville Goddard nailed it when he said, You don't get what you want. You get what you believe you are. If you still see yourself as someone who's always scraping by, struggling, or unworthy of wealth, it doesn't matter how many affirmations you say or how many hours you grind. You'll get the life that matches the self-image running in the background. Ernest Holmes, founder of the Science of Mind movement, put it bluntly, you are not punished for your sins, but by your beliefs. That belief might be that money corrupts, or that there's never enough, or that you're not the kind of person who gets to thrive. And the kicker? These beliefs aren't true, but they become real for you because your mind is incredibly powerful and loyal to what it's been taught to expect. Here's where it gets interesting. The subconscious doesn't respond to logic. It responds to repetition, emotion, and identity. That means you can't just think your way out of scarcity. You have to recode yourself. That starts with awareness, catching the inherited scripts you're running. The ones that say, who do you think you are to want more? Or you'll lose it just as fast as you get it. Ask yourself, where did that voice come from? Whose fear is it really? Your parents? Your grandparents? A teacher who didn't believe in you? A church sermon you heard at age 9? When you realize those beliefs were passed down, not chosen, you can start to choose differently. This isn't about blaming the past. It's about reclaiming your power. You get to rewire the story. You get to define what money means to you now and how you want to relate to it. It doesn't have to be tied to suffering or shame. It can be a tool, a mirror, a creative force, an extension of who you are, not a verdict on your worth. So here's the challenge. Start noticing the thoughts that come up when you imagine wealth. Not just the fantasy, but the emotions under the surface. Do you feel tension, doubt, guilt? That's the real work. Not forcing success, but dissolving resistance to receiving it. That's how you clear the static from your signal. Because in the end, money is just energy. And energy always flows most freely to the self that's open, aligned, and ready to receive it without fear. Once you realize that scarcity is often a programmed mindset, not a reflection of reality, you begin to see something else, that the system we live in depends on that programming. It's not just personal conditioning anymore, it's institutional. The financial system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, to keep most people looping through work, pay, survive, without ever stepping into true freedom. Take debt, for example. We're taught from a young age that debt is normal, even necessary. Student loans, credit cards, mortgages, these aren't just financial tools. They're forms of energetic control. The moment you're in debt, you're plugged into the system. You're motivated by fear. Fear of falling behind, of ruining your credit score, of losing everything if you miss a payment. And when fear drives your relationship with money, you're easy to control. Then there's inflation. Prices rise, wages lag, and yet we're told it's just how the economy works. But let's get real. Inflation doesn't hurt everyone equally. It shrinks the value of your savings, keeps you running just to stay in place. And the narrative that this is all some natural economic cycle, that's part of the illusion. Inflation, debt, and even how credit is distributed are shaped by policy decisions. Decisions that keep the majority of the population in a low-frequency loop of stress, comparison, and survival. Look at credit education. You're not taught how to build wealth. You're taught how to stay a responsible borrower. Your worth gets reduced to a number, and your ability to access more money depends on how well you follow the system's rules. That's not education. That's conditioning. And here's where it gets deeper. Money becomes an emotional weapon. Governments use economic fear to push policies. Banks use scarcity tactics to lock you into high-interest cycles. Companies use advertising to trigger your insecurities and desires, convincing you that spending equals status, validation, or love. All of it is emotional manipulation, amplified by your disconnection from what money really is: energy. When you don't understand the energetic nature of money, you're far more vulnerable to external influence. You'll make decisions out of fear, not power. You'll chase what you think will make you feel safe or successful, instead of creating from a grounded place of alignment. That's the trap. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's the point. The financial system is not neutral. It feeds off your emotional volatility, your stress, your shame, your need to keep up. It thrives when you're disconnected from your inner authority and plugged into someone else's definition of success. What happens when enough people break that loop? When they start seeing money not as something to chase or fear, but as something to align with, that's when systems start to lose control. That's when people stop being predictable consumers or obedient workers and start becoming creators, builders, and stewards of new paradigms. So if the system was designed to manipulate energy through money, the way out isn't just financial literacy, it's energetic sovereignty. The moment you understand how money flows, how it reflects your inner state, and how it's used to shape behavior on a mass scale, you stop being a pawn. You start playing your own game. By now, you're starting to see why hard work alone doesn't explain wealth. We all know people who grind day and night, juggling jobs, sacrificing time, doing everything right, yet still can't get ahead. Meanwhile, someone else seems to move through life with ease, attracting opportunities, income, support. What's going on? The difference isn't effort, it's frequency. Money doesn't respond to hustle, it responds to energy. Specifically, the emotional frequency you're operating from, your beliefs, your sense of worth, your expectations. If you're broadcasting scarcity, fear of not having enough, anxiety around spending, guilt around receiving, then that's the signal you're sending out. And the world responds accordingly. That's why someone can work less but earn more. They're not lazy, they're aligned. Their energy is clean. They believe they deserve to receive. They're not operating from panic or desperation, so money flows toward them rather than away. Let's bring it into real life. If you've ever felt tight just thinking about checking your bank account, or hesitated to invest in something you wanted, because what if it's a mistake? Or undercharged for your work because asking for more felt uncomfortable? That's not a math problem. That's frequency. You're vibrating at the level of lack, and your behavior reflects it. Playing small, hesitating, trying to earn what you already deserve. Neville Goddard said, "Feeling is the secret. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you feel to be true." So if deep down you still feel like someone who's broke, or unworthy, or just trying to survive, then you keep repeating that story. The fastest way to shift your reality is to feel as if you already have what you want. Not wish for it, not hope. Feel it. Now, that's uncomfortable at first. Your nervous system might resist it. Your brain might throw up all kinds of reasons why it's unrealistic. But that's exactly where the work is. Training your body to feel safe in the frequency of abundance, even before it shows up physically. Ernest Holmes put it clearly, you don't need to change the world. You only need to change the mind that sends the signal. You are the broadcast tower. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are constantly shaping what you allow, what you block, what you notice, what you attract. Most people try to rearrange their outer world to feel better inside. But when you flip that, when you shift your internal signal, the outer world starts responding in ways that seem almost magical. And this is why hard work can be deceiving. It gives the illusion of progress. But if it's driven by lack, by fear, by the need to prove something, it often leads to burnout, not abundance. True wealth comes from alignment, from knowing, not begging, from allowing, not chasing. So if you've been grinding, pushing, exhausting yourself trying to get ahead, pause. Ask yourself, what frequency am I operating from? Do I feel abundant now? Or am I constantly waiting for when I have enough to finally relax? Because money doesn't wait for your effort to catch up. It responds to the signal you're already putting out. And the moment that signal changes, so does everything else. If your frequency shapes your reality, then how you act becomes more than just behavior. It becomes a ritual, a signal, a declaration to the quantum field of who you are and what you're aligned with. This is where energy work gets practical. Because while mindset matters, it's action, consistent, embodied action, that locks in the frequency you're choosing. Let's talk about rituals. Not superstition, not magical thinking, but intentional, symbolic behaviors that shift your internal state and send clear messages to your subconscious. I trust, I'm ready. One of the simplest yet most powerful is what we can call the circulation spell. It's the act of giving, not out of obligation, but from belief. When you circulate money from a place of trust, even in small ways, you're signaling abundance. You're breaking the grip of scarcity and proving to yourself, I believe more is coming. Could be tipping a little extra, buying coffee for a stranger, donating without fear. The amount doesn't matter. The energy behind it does. Most people give from pressure or guilt, which actually reinforces lack. This ritual flips that. You give with joy, with freedom, with full ownership. And in doing so, you activate the flow. Energy loves to move. When you become a channel instead of a dam, more flows through you naturally. Then there's the envelope overflow. It's not about budgeting, it's about reprogramming. You take a physical envelope, fill it with cash, and label it something like extra, overflow, or already mine. And you leave it somewhere you can see it. You don't touch it. You don't count on it. It just sits there, radiating the message, I always have more than enough. Your subconscious responds to symbols. It learns through repetition and emotion, not logic. So every time you see that envelope, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who has surplus. It's not about hoarding. It's about impressing your system with the truth of abundance. And then, to set the tone each day, there's the morning command. Before you even touch your phone, you speak a declaration, out loud. Something like, today, I move through the world in the frequency of wealth. I receive, I expand, I create. I am tuned to overflow. Whatever words resonate for you, say them with presence. This isn't about positive thinking. It's about energetic ownership. You're not asking the universe for permission. You're claiming your space in it. You're directing your nervous system, your cells, your field. The rest of your day aligns to follow. These aren't hacks. They're anchors. They create the inner conditions Holmes spoke about. Because the universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are prepared to hold. And preparation is internal. You train your system to expect more, handle more, be more. Neville Goddard taught that behavior is an extension of frequency. You don't need to prove anything. You just live in the energy of what you've already received. You don't wait to have money to feel generous. You feel generous, and then money finds its way to you. You don't wait to feel free until the debt is gone. You feel free now, and that energy begins dissolving what keeps you stuck. The key is this: you're not performing these rituals to manipulate the world. You're performing them to shift you, because the moment your energy changes, your life starts catching up. So try it. Give a little more. Create your envelope. Speak your command. Not because you're desperate for results, but because you're becoming someone who lives from fullness. That's how frequency works. You don't chase the outcome. You embody the signal, and the signal always gets answered. We've been taught to measure wealth in numbers, bank accounts, salaries, asset sheets. But if you've come this far, you already know. That's only one fragment of the picture. Real wealth is energetic, and it shows up in forms far beyond what can be deposited or withdrawn. The problem is, if you're only looking for money, you'll miss the actual abundance that's constantly trying to reach you. Ever had someone help you out at just the right moment? Got a surprise offer, a free ride, a canceled plan that gave you exactly the rest you needed? That's wealth. Or think about a day where everything just flowed. Peaceful mind, zero stress, things clicked into place. That's wealth too. So is the opportunity that lands in your inbox, the conversation that shifts your perspective, or the inner nudge that leads you to the right place at the right time. Money is just one expression of prosperity. The real thing is the frequency beneath it, the flow of life aligning for you. But if your mind is locked into wealth equals cash, you'll miss all the other doors the universe is opening. You'll reject the gift because it didn't come in the wrapping you expected. Neville Goddard said, "Reality is only your mind pushed out." If you're stuck in a frequency of lack, you won't even recognize blessings when they appear. They'll feel invisible, or worse, annoying, because they're not cash, or they don't look like your idea of success. If you're blind to vibration, you're blind to miracles. And Ernest Holmes reminded us, the resources of the universe are always flowing. Only you are turning off the valve. We think we're waiting on life to deliver, but more often than not, life is waiting on us to notice, to say yes, to expand our definition of receiving. Try this shift. What if every time something small aligned, you took it as a sign of abundance? What if you stopped saying, "That's just luck," or "That doesn't count," and instead said, "Yes, thank you, more, please"? That affirmation alone begins to rewire your awareness. Suddenly, you're not just measuring wealth by what you earn. You're tuned into what you receive. And when you start noticing it, it multiplies. Here's the magic in all this. Your frequency sharpens. When you appreciate wealth in all its forms, you don't need to fake gratitude or force positivity. You just need to notice differently. The friend who checks in on you, the traffic light that stays green, the intuitive hit that saved you time. These are forms of energy support, and the more you recognize them, the more receptive you become to all forms, including money. This is how you shift from chasing to allowing, from scarcity to flow. You stop playing a narrow game of digits and start dancing with the full spectrum of abundance the universe knows how to deliver. So the next time you're tempted to say, "I'm still waiting for money," pause and ask, or am I already surrounded by wealth in motion? Look again. You might be richer than you think. At the end of the day, you don't need a new money strategy, you need a new self, a new energetic identity. The most profound shifts don't come from changing what you do, but from changing who you believe you are. That's the work. Not more hustling, not another financial tactic. Just this, becoming the version of you that wealth already belongs to. So here's a simple challenge. For 7 days, live as if you already have the money you desire. Not to trick the universe, not to manifest faster, but to match the frequency of the reality you want right now. That means speaking from abundance. Catch yourself before saying things like, "I can't afford that," or "I'm worried about money." Shift to language that reflects trust and sufficiency, even if the numbers haven't changed yet. Say things like, "I'm choosing to prioritize this," or "The resources I need are already on the way." The words you speak are vibrations, and vibrations attract experiences. Act like someone who is already financially supported. That doesn't mean blowing your budget. It means walking with calm, making decisions from alignment, not fear. Moving through your day with the energy of someone who trusts life, trusts themselves, and knows their needs are always met. Feel the emotions of abundance. When you sip your coffee, pause and actually enjoy it. When you get paid, receive it with full presence. When you rest, let it be full rest, not anxious downtime. Every moment is a chance to tell your nervous system, "We are safe. We are enough. We already have." And each day, write down your invisible wealth. Record the things that worked out, the small wins, the support that came, the peace you felt, the insights that arrived. These are the fingerprints of abundance. When you track them, you train your mind to recognize how rich your life already is, which is exactly the frequency that allows more to come in.